my friend?
You too. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm a little tired, honestly, because I took my girls this morning at 3 a.m. to the airport.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. And so daddy is home alone, and that's perfect. I have a
yep,
good time.
yep. Very good. Me too tonight, so it's perfect. But I'm tired too from being a taxi driver for my kids.
Yeah. I know that business.
Yeah. So we had to do a third interview. We were going to anyway, but we thought we better do one because the reception kept cutting out last time, and I couldn't hear you properly, and you couldn't hear me, and so we missed out on sharing your amazing knife collection. So that's the main reason why we're doing this one today. So thank you so much for joining us again,
Yeah, thank
and
you.
so I just thought I'd let you take it away and show us your treasures.
Okay, I will. So, but before we start with Jimmy Lai, let me quickly say one thing to in pole force issue that just happened this week, and you
Yep.
know what I mean is just a general warning to the collectors worldwide that there are so many fakes, really so
Yep.
many nowadays well-made fakes around the world of my knives, especially of the MK8 and MK9. We, as I said, we just this week we had that case that a collector from the US sent me
Yep.
pictures and asked me if this is an original knife. Can I have his certificate? It was lost, and so we found out very quickly that this is a well-made fake.
Yep.
And but by the end, you can identify it. And yeah, I just want to give one point that's make it very easy to identify a fake, especially when it comes to MK8 and MK9. So they spend a lot of time and effort in copying everything, from even from the box. The boxes are the same,
Yep.
and also the foam inside is that by the end, we have for both knives, we have patents. We have the European patents on it, design patents, and we have an exclusive US design patent on it. And so what we do is on the front side of the guard, of the cross guard, we have that number, that US patent number registered, laser engraved on the tang,
Yep.
on the guard, sorry, on the guard.
Yep.
And if you're not sure if this is the original number, just go on our website on movieknife.com. And my assistant Sebastian, he made so many close shots also of the original number. You can easily compare that, and then you
Yep.
can see they just made a fantasy fake number on it.
Yep.
But that's
Yep.
easy to identify, and then you know for sure that this is a fake. So
Yep.
just a general warning. And if you're, by the end of the day, if you're really, really not sure, just send us an email.
Yep.
That's the easiest way. Send us some pictures, send us an email, ask me. I will always answer, always.
Yep.
Because by the end of the day, it's not only a violation of patents. By the end of the day, as you know, they even faked my signature, my personal signature.
They
This
they
is a
didn't do a
crime.
very
This
good
is not
job
a
though.
violation. This is a crime. you know?
Yeah. Yep.
And so, yeah, it's crazy. But as long as I'm working in the knife industry, started with bunker knives, there were always copies. There were always fakes on it,
Yep.
and it became really serious when I started Pole Force. They copied the Alpha knives, they copied the Prepper knives, and of course now the movie knives. And the real issue is that doesn't really hurt our business. But on the other hand, there's so many guys around the world. They believe that is the real one. That's the real deal. And of
Yep.
course, it's a cheap steel. It's a cheap made knife.
Mm.
And if they are disappointed, it comes back to me. That's the
Yeah.
problem, and
Yeah.
that's a serious problem. And not that they are stealing us any money or something like that. That's annoying enough. But to uh, to damage our reputation by probably telling on the internet, well, I got that knife from Pole Force. What a shit. So who
Yep.
knows if it's a real one or it's a fake? And
Yep.
so that's the problem. So just a general warning on my movie knives. And yeah, let's start with Jimmy Lyle. And as you
Yeah,
said, you don't have some specific questions. I just go through, if it's okay with you, through my history,
absolutely.
how I
Yeah.
met Jimmy, or when I first saw Jimmy, and you must remind me on the time. So usually I
Okay.
talk too much, but you remind me, okay?
No, no
Okay.
problem.
So yeah, as everybody knows, among all these Rambo and First Blood fans, the movie started in the United States, in most parts of the world, First Blood back in 1982. In Germany, it started in January 1983. So just a month. And from then on, as everybody know, I became a movie knife fan. A movie knife fan, a Rambo fan, a survival knife fan. And at that time, as I said on my last interview, um, it was a hard deal to get the information, what kind of knife that is. And nowadays, of course, as you know, it's easy with Google. But in the old days, you really have to find out how to get on information on this knife, how to get it, and everything. And so, luckily, one day I found a magazine called Soldier of Fortune, and that was a kind of mercenary magazine that they had, I think, in the 70s and 80s, and probably in the 90s. And there was an ad of Jimmy Lyle knives in Arkansas, Russellville, Arkansas. And so I sent him a letter, and just this is something for the young timers. So this is something now for the young timers. See, this is the original letter that I still have from
Oh, wow.
1988. So guys, just something to understand. If we get a question sometimes on the forums, blogs, website, whatever. They send us a question, Dietmar, what steel is that on the MK9, blah, blah, blah. And if we don't answer within probably an hour, we get question mark, question mark, question mark. So 50 minutes later, you get hate emojis. And at
Yeah.
least 1 hour later, I'm the most arrogant piece of shit in the world because I don't answer him in the middle of the night. So welcome to globalization. So
Yeah.
now I tell you how the real world was for me 40 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, when I started collecting knives and contact Jimmy Lyle. So what I had to do is I had to sit down, take a piece of paper, my pencil, and write a letter. So then this letter went to the United States via airmail. That took a week. And luckily, if they answer within a week, it took another week for the letter to come back. So at least you had to wait three weeks to get an answer. So, and nowadays, if you don't answer in 3 hours, you know, so,
Yeah.
so that was the world. That was the world. It looked like when I started collecting knives. So, and yeah, I sent a letter to Jimmy Lyle, and the old guys who probably had really contact with Jimmy Lyle in these days when he was still alive and in business. That's how a typical letter looked like from Lyle Knives, with the Lyle logo, some artwork, and a forging guy on the bottom. And that's how letters looked like in the time when we still had sent letters out. And
Mm.
that was back in August the 8th, 1988. So, and I asked him about, of course, about Rambo 2 knife, Rambo First Blood Part 2, how's the original name for the movie for the second part, and also for First Blood. But of course, yeah, the prices he was asking, it was quite a shock at that time. But yeah, but I managed it. I was working part-time next when I was a student for economics on a university. And even today, I could tell you exactly where my money is that I made in the 80s and early 90s in my knife collection. It's still here. While
Yep.
the others went to Ibiza Island and had fun, and I collected knives, and I still
Yep.
have that. And so that's pretty cool. So yeah, let's start. Just let's go at Chronicle, and let's start, of course, with the First Blood knife.
I'm
And as
excited.
as, as everybody knows, of course, Jimmy made two versions of the first blood knife. The more or less, or you can even say he made three versions of the knife.
Yeah.
The ones that were used in the movie. See, this is the first blood knife. This is number 12. This is number 12. And so this is one of the series of 13 pieces that he did, along with the original leather sheath. So this is a
Wow.
right-hand sheath, and as everybody knows, Slice is a left-handed guy, even though he can work with his right hand as well. But at that time in the movie, it was a left-hand sheath. So this is one of the few sheaths that were right-handed, but it was the original one. And as you know, Greg, there were a couple of knives in the higher numbers between 7 to 13
Yep.
that had even knives, sheaths without a pouch on it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I remember I think it was a number 8. It has a classic sheath without sharpening stone pouch on it. So, and this is the one who had a different tape line. See, the saw teeth and the main edge, of course, but for the false edge or swedge in the movie, of course, it followed the line of the saw teeth in the movie. But for these knives, he decided to tape it along the grinding line here on the false edge. So that was the main difference. So that makes it 2. And as you know, then there were the numbers 14 to 100, and these just had serial numbers on it without the limitation. It's just from 14 to 100. And these guys had, of course, also one of 13 on it. And it, of course, had the name First Blood on the backside of the blade. So that's also something that the first that the first ones had. But from serial number 14, he dropped it.
Yep.
And also the sheath became different.
Yeah.
And to my understanding is what I had here also on the letters from Mrs. Lyle or his secretary, the ones who had ever contact with Lyle knives in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, before Jimmy died. There was a secretary, also an old lady, but I liked her a lot. She was very funny. Her name was Jackie Weir. And she was the good soul in the company. And she was there probably forever. And most of the time, she answered the letters. And she told me one day when I asked her, Jackie, I really, really want to have a first blood knife from the first one of 13. And yeah, she answered me, and I could go through the lines, but that's now it would too time consuming. So just to make it quick,
Yeah.
and she said to me that a friend of Jimmy Lyle, he wanted to sell it. And as you probably know, the first 6 knives went to the movie company, and the other ones, Jimmy distributed among friends. So there were, from the first 13, there were none of these really available to the public, just the ones from number 14 to 100. And they were sold at that time for $1,000. If you transfer $1,000 from 1981 or 1982, 83 to 2025, that would probably, I don't know, I have to Google it, maybe $3,000, something that compared to
I
that.
think more. I think at least
even more, maybe 4,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could be 4,000. So just to have an idea how much the US dollar was worth at that time. And so that's the situation how it was. And luckily, Jackie sent me a letter back and said, yeah, this gentleman, he wants to sell it, and you can have it.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was back in September. No, was it September? Wait a second. No, that was April 1992. So that means I do have that knife for 33 years.
Amazing.
And
it's a real treasure.
Guess now. now I might make everybody smile. Guess what I have paid back in '92 for the First Blood number 12 of 13. Just guess.
You'll make me cry. um,
Everybody will cry. Everybody will cry after that.
yeah, I'm not sure. Geez, I'd have to say maybe 5,000,
Very
10.
close. Very close. That was 4,500 US dollars at that
Wow.
time. But again, in '92, compared to what it is worth today,
I'll give you
it's
5,000.
yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the other funny thing is that I received the knife when I was guest at Gil Hibben's house, and that was here in LaGrange, Kentucky.
Yep.
And that's where Jack Weir sent the knife to. So, and I took the knife with me back home. So
Wow.
that is another funny story. And there's a picture.
Yeah.
I have to find it for you, and that shows me with a knife. And yeah, so that was the point where everything started with the First Blood knife. And I was lucky enough to meet Jimmy. I think maybe it was the last, or maybe at least one of the last official shows that he had where he appeared.
Yep.
And that was the California Custom Knife Show back in 1990. And let me show you the picture. So this is me and Jimmy.
And I've seen the photo of you with Jimmy and Gil at the same time.
That was the same show. That was the same show.
Yeah, that's a great photo. Yeah.
And so he was signing a picture from me, and I also still have that picture. And very gentle person, and but nowadays when I compare it and I just checked it, I have the book with me. Probably I have to show you something in the book, and I checked his age, and matter of fact is that on this picture here, and I thought that is a pretty old guy. He's in my age now. That was the same age. He was 58 at that time, so exactly my age.
Wow.
And but what I learned, he had serious heart problems, and that's also the reason why he died lately. Then, and but great guy, very, I had no idea what a Southern gentleman is, but that's what really described him the best. He was so very nice, slow talking, but a large guy, and very nice, really, really nice guy. And so, yeah, but back to the knives.
Have you seen the documentary? It's about Bowie knife, but it's mostly about Jimmy. It's on YouTube. I think it goes for 40 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
But a lot of it is about Jimmy and his friends that knew him, and it's really good. Shows a good example of what sort of person he was, and he was really loved in the knife community.
Okay.
Yeah, it's worth a look. I'll find it and send you the link.
Yeah,
later.
send it to me. Send it to me, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and after the success of First Blood, of course, and after Jimmy sold the rest of the limited edition, then he needed also something that he could sell to a better price, and which is also not serial numbered, not limited, and didn't have the silver edges around the blade. And that's what they call the Slide 2 knife. And as you know, this is something that was available. As far as I remember, it was about $650 at that time.
A lot of them didn't have the cord as well.
Yeah, they had several versions, exactly.
Yeah.
They had it also without the cord, and it was also available in 3 different sizes. So this is, of course, the 9-inch blade. I think he had a 7.5 and a smaller, I think maybe 6-inch or 5-inch, something like that. A small survival knife. I like that also a lot. So, and yeah, he was pretty successful also selling this knife.
Yep.
And this is also one of the early versions with a green cord handle.
Yep.
And I have also black sheath for that. So that's also
Nice.
very unusual. That was an unusual combination. That was probably one of the last ones that had the green cord on it. And
Mhm.
Jackie Weir told me at the Blade Show in 19 no it's not at 2001 at the Blade Show at 2001 that the reason why all the other knives later come with just the black cord is that they were running out of green cord, and the supplier of the green cord went out of business.
Yep.
And so she had a hard time to getting the original green cord. But later on, I think it was in the late 90s or early 2000s, she finally found one. And then they used the green cord again on these models. But it's a little different. It's a little different. The green is a
Bit
little
brighter.
different. This is a
Mm.
little brighter than this one. The black part is
Yep.
more here in, this is more greenish. But it's very close. It's close. It was definitely worth to buy that green cord and use it. So, and after First Blood, as we know, in 1985, there was Rambo First Blood Part 2. And last time you asked me after our interview about a specific knife that I have in my collection, and I will show you. Jimmy made, as far as I remember, he made about 8 prototypes for Sly to decide which one he wants to have in different blade shapes, in different stylings. Some had satin finished blades. Some of them were also all blasted. Some had the new black finish on it. And the
Yep.
most interesting of these knives were the prototype number 4. And that is this baby here. And this is already a 10-inch blade, but the blade shape is very different to the one that was used in the movie later on, as you can see here.
Yeah.
See,
The clip, right?
this is more straight false edge, and this is
Mhm.
of course a typical clip point blade.
Yep.
And but I like that also a lot. For me, I would have been happy if he would use this knife as well, or
Yep.
in particular this knife, because this reminds me much more on the straight blade from the First Blood knife. So, but it was his decision, and
Yep.
everybody who ever had to deal with Sylvester Stallone knows that by the end of the day, he's the man in charge
Yep.
on set, on preparing things, whatever you want. And if he said he wants this one, he gets this one.
Yep.
That's the reality. If you work with Sly, so and he decided then on the Rambo Mission knife, as we all know, and this is number 96 that I have, and this is a knife. This is one of the only knives from the Lyle collection that I have that I haven't bought directly from the Lyles. That was back in 93. I think it was 93. I have to check it. That was back in 93. And I saw an advertising in a small ad in Blade Magazine. And there was a guy offering the knife.
Ah.
Yeah. And as I said, that is the old days. And
Yep.
so I contact him again with letter and everything. And yeah, and the Lyle knives, they were so friendly and helpful. They managed everything. I was able to make the deal with them,
Yep.
and I sent I sent the money to Lyle Knives, and they checked the knife, everything. So funny fact about that knife was that the guy who owned it, he really used it. So it
Right.
was not a collector's piece for him. So he
Yep.
really used it. And that's how it looked like. And
Ah.
and Lyles then refinished the blade for me and the guard and
Oh, wow.
everything. So and when I received it, it was perfect. And at the
Yeah.
same
Great.
time, I asked him also to do the butt cap in black. And as you know, all of
I
these
noticed that.
knives came normally with
Yep.
the natural aluminum finish. So that was an extra that he did. At the same time, I received also a black easy lap sharpener. So it was then movie authentic, and that's
Yep.
when what I received at that time. And another knife that was used in the movie, as you know, is of course that little stiletto that he
Yep.
made, and I love that thing. That's so perfect. And again, today when I unpacked everything to prepare for the interview, and I was just looking on the knives from Jimmy Lyle, as I said to you so many times, I'm so amazed. Even today, 40 years later, this is perfect.
Yeah.
He was so advanced in his time. It's
Yep.
unbelievable. This is iconic. This is really, you know, you can show these knives maybe in 40 years and they will still impress you. And
Absolutely.
he had such a good taste when it comes to military knives. Of course, he made hunting knives and all that stuff. With stack handle and typical breast guard and everything. That was classic. That was classic American style 70s hunting knives. He made them too, no doubt. But
Yep.
all his military stuff, that is pretty cool up to this day. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is serial number 90. And very interesting fact about that is this is the original movie sheath. This
Oh,
is the movie
cool.
sheath. All the other
Wow.
sheaths, they had the leather sheath, which is of course a much higher quality than this Cordura piece here. But on the
Yep.
other hand, this is one of the original movie used Cordura sheath for the knife.
It's
And
awesome.
so, yeah, that's interesting. And I didn't know that in the beginning, but some collectors, when they saw articles about my collection, and they made me aware of the fact that this was something very unique. So
Yep.
it's nice to have it along with the knife, of course.
Yeah.
And
So we can't have the daggers here in Australia. It's illegal
uh,
to import them. So unfortunately, that's part of my collection that will always be missing is the boot dagger. But
uh,
anyway, it's all good. Still lucky to have the others.
yeah, it's the same in so many countries. For example, in Switzerland, they had the same law against
Yeah.
daggers and everything. So. But it's a very very unique design, and I
Yep.
still love it. And
Yeah, it's beautiful.
as you know, it was used twice in the
Yep.
Rambo franchise. It was used in Rambo 2 and in Rambo
Yep.
3, and
Yep.
so this is a pretty cool knife.
Absolutely.
So and then after that, in 1987, Jimmy was also approached to make a prototype for Rambo 3. So that is the Bowie knife, the prototype for Rambo 3,
I love that
and
thing.
that is a that is an awesome knife. That is
Yeah.
really cool. I'm to be honest, I'm not sure about the oval cutout in the blade. I
Yep.
personally would have made it straight without the
Yep.
radius inside, but
Hmm.
there must be a reason why you did that. And
Yep.
so this is serial number 001. This is number 1J. And I have a letter also coming with a knife that said that the J stands for the type of steel they use. They had
Huh?
obviously they use different steels in the prototyping, and so that was a designation for the steel.
Is
So
it is
there
it
must be
J
also another
J2?
001. Pardon?
Is it J2 steel or something like that?
I
I
don't
think
know.
I've
I don't
I
know.
think I've heard of J2 steel, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
It's possible. I cannot confirm that, but
Yeah.
it's really number 001. And I've also a letter and this is also something that Mrs. Lyle and Jackie Weir sold after Jimmy's death.
Yep.
So that is a pretty cool knife, and it has also
Another treasure.
First Blood
Yeah.
3 on it on the back of the
That's
blade.
pretty cool. Yeah.
That is pretty cool. And
So what does the blade measure, Dietmar?
Oh, I have to check it. I don't know.
Right.
I can't
Okay.
tell. I can't tell you
Yeah.
by
Is it
memory,
is
but I
it
have to
bigger
check.
than the?
I can send you the information if you want. That's no problem.
Okay. Is it longer than the mission knife when you have them next to
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other? Or?
absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That's huge. Yeah.
I would say it's probably an 11-inch blade.
Yeah.
That could be 11. That could be
Yeah.
11.
I think
So,
I've got the Lyle book. I think it says in there as well.
oh yeah, okay. So check
Yeah.
the Lyle book, and
Yeah.
otherwise I can check it for you too.
Yeah.
So, but
Great.
that is an interesting thing. That is
Mm.
something that cries really for a 2.0 version.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be. This is something that is of course that's cool from the time when it was made in 87, 88. But
Yeah.
nowadays, if I would um, give it a facelift, it would look a little different, much of course much cooler than and more
Now
tactical.
you're
But
obligated.
but
Now you're obligated to do it.
that's a cool thing. And yeah, I'm very, very sorry that it wasn't used in the movie. And
Yeah.
but hey, that's history. So
Yep.
well, and then I have another prototype that might be interesting for you. That goes back to Rambo 2. And yeah, Jimmy, it's very interesting. This is something that Jimmy told me at the Blade show here, at no, it was a California Custom Knife Show, that he had really so many ideas for the second movie, and that included also, next to the dagger, that included also
The
a
axe.
double head axe.
Yeah.
So that was funny thing, and
Yeah.
there are only three of them that exist, and have a ladder
Yeah.
also coming with that thing,
Wow.
and only three were made. But by the end, Sly said he had enough weapons among
Yeah.
him. As you know, next to the survival knife, he had that dagger. Then he had these little push daggers.
Yeah.
Then he had the bow. And
Yeah.
so I think he thought it was enough to carry
Yeah.
around.
You can just imagine him swinging an axe around, the damage it would have done.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Brutal.
So, but that is also a very interesting thing. Sorry.
Yep.
So, and yeah, let's talk about the knives that were not movie knives. And I know you're a great fan of the Gray Ghost,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
the Gray Ghost, that is a cool knife
It's
when
so comfortable in hand, that one.
and it's heavy. It's really, really
Yeah.
heavy. It's a heavy duty knife.
Yep.
And I remember, I got this one. This is with the additional dot on it. So this
Yep.
is after Jimmy's death.
Yeah, I have the same
And
one.
oh, okay. And
Yep.
that knife was given to me for free by Lyle Knives when I was in the United States at the Blade Show in 2001. And after
Yep.
that, I flew over to Washington or Sterling, Virginia, to join an MP5 SWAT team course. I was invited by the H&K to join with the SWAT teams, and they
Oh,
gave it
that's the
for
photo you
free.
sent me today.
Yes, exactly. They
Yeah.
gave it for free,
Yeah.
and so I made a couple of pictures with them, and
Yep.
still have it in my collection. I didn't want to use it that much, so at the same time, I had I was working at Boker at that time. I had my Orca knife with me,
Yep.
and but we used the Orca knife. We tested everything.
Yep.
That was pretty cool, and that
Yep.
will be also part of the upcoming book that I have mentioned to you, that I will do. Yeah, the next probably 12 months, 18 months. So my goal is to have that book on the market by the end of next year, or a little earlier. So
Yep.
it's still a
I
huge
can't wait.
project, because I have to cover 30 years,
Yep.
and you know how
Yep.
much stories I have to tell.
Mm.
Just the ones about the tactical teams, or about the movie
Yep.
projects that we made. So this is a very complex thing, but now I thought it's the time to do it. I
Yep.
thought it's the right time to do it. Yeah, but back to Jimmy. So, and this is one of the, and I just showed it to you. This is one of the smaller survival knives that he made, and this is a very
That looks a
functional
lot
knife.
like, it's a lot like one of their first blood prototypes.
That's possible. It's possible, but
Yeah,
it
they
had
look
no
very
saw
similar.
teeth. It had no saw teeth, and
Yeah.
I would guess it's a 6-inch blade.
Yep.
So it has also the hollow handle, but without compass. And this
Yep.
is the butt cup and also the guard were made of brass
Yep.
instead of steel and aluminum. So
Yep.
that's a very nice knife, and it's very compact. This is something that you really would have in your survival gear.
Yep.
Of course, they look cool, but in reality,
Yeah.
you would
Yep.
carry that thing on your survival vest if you are aircraft personnel or special forces, or this is the size that is real world. This is
Yep.
real world size. Yeah, and then Jimmy made an interesting fighting knife called the Deathwind. And the Deathwind, this is a very sleek fighter, and I like the design also very, very much. And it comes with a black micarta handle and satin finish on the blade, and it's a very, very sleek design and very, very cool. This is a badass fighter.
Yep.
This is really something, and I would guess this is also 6-inch blade. And
Right.
there's a story around that knife, and then you can understand it. It describes a little bit Jimmy's character. When I was working as product manager and designer for Boker knives in the late 90s and up to the mid 2000s, we started something at Boker. We followed the path of Columbia River Knife and Tool. So Columbia River Knife and Tool, they were the first ones who discovered Taiwan as a manufacturing country and to do high-end knives in Taiwan, but for a reasonable price. This was the philosophy of Columbia River Knife and Tool. They hired a lot of designers. Chris Reeve was one of them, Jim Hammond, all the old guys from the 70s and 80s. They hired them, they gave them the designs, and they made it in
Yep.
Taiwan. And one of the major character here, producer in Taiwan, is also one of my friends. He is a legend. His name is Paul. And so one day I had the idea, hey, so here at Boker, let's do also a high-end Taiwanese made Jimmy Lyle Deathwind knife.
Oh, cool.
So, and that would be perfect, and I can guarantee that the quality would have been absolutely top. It's not like the other replicas that were
Yep.
made by other companies. So the good thing is that when I contact them, and told him what our goal is to do, is that we wanted to do high quality.
Yep.
But Mrs. Lyle, she replied. She said, this is that would have been in Jimmy's mind to do that. He was very
Yep.
proud of what he did with the custom knives. So, and she declined. She said, "No, we are not interested to do it. It would have been very easy for them. Just hold their hand open and let the cash coming." So,
Yeah. Yep.
but they had strong principles. They had strong, opinions about things. So,
Yep.
and that's also the reason why you can't find Jimmy Lyle's name on any of the replicas of the First Blood knife or Rambo 2 knife on the market, because he
Yep.
simply said, "No, we don't want to do that." And
Yep.
he was also a little scared about working with Hollywood attorneys, which I
Yeah.
can agree. It's it's a thing that it's sometimes not that funny. It's not like standing with a star all the time. Pretend to stay cool. No, it's a tough business, and they don't make any prisoners, believe me. So I can fully understand that he didn't want to do that. So and Mrs. Lyle, she said no, we don't want to do that either. So and that's the reason why there's no really replica on the market with the Lyle logo on it. And as you know, later on, two other guys bought the name and everything, and now it's of course made by another knife maker. And he made high quality, no doubt about it. But even then, they didn't give any license to companies to make any Jimmy Lyle knives. So so that's about the Dietmar Pohl collection of Lyle knives, and it's it's something. It's my history. It's part of my history, and so that's about the knives.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So I should have mentioned before we did the video if you were going to show any of your Pole Force knives, but I mean, if you haven't got them out or set up, we can do that at a later date if you like.
We can do that probably if you want to, on a fourth interview. And
no worries.
But not today, because as I said, the reason why it works so fine this time is because I'm at home and I don't have all the knives with me. But the Wi-Fi is much better here. So
me too.
That's the reason. That's the reason why I don't have all the knives with me. So, but for the next one, I'm very happy to show you also some of the unique knives, prototypes, and original movie knives from Rambo Last Blood. So
awesome.
Let's do it the next time. Okay.
I know that all the subscribers will be excited to see that as well.
Thank you very much. So
thank you so much.
If you don't have any more questions, I would say.
Oh, look, I could keep you on here for another 3 hours, but I better not. I got to go pick my kids up soon. But I really appreciate it. And I'm glad we haven't had any reception or glitches. Technical
this time's perfect.
I'm at home this time. Last 2 times I had it at my work, so I'm glad it worked. So now we know.
Now we know better.
Awesome.
Okay. So
and
have a wonderful,
have
a wonderful Easter time with the family.
Yes.
And talk to you soon next time. Okay.
Enjoy your time alone.
Okay. Take care, my friend. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Happy Easter, everyone. Bye bye.